Let's get right into it. Number 6. Talking to yourself. Somewhere along the way, society decided that talking to yourself is a red flag. Like if someone catches you whispering in a room alone, suddenly you're one step away from starring in a psychological thriller. But here's the twist. Your brain actually loves it. When you talk to yourself, especially out loud, you're basically turning abstract thoughts into structured language, and your brain eats structure for breakfast. It's the difference between having 47 tabs open in your head versus actually organizing them into a clean, slightly less chaotic desktop. Studies in cognitive psychology show that self-directed speech helps with focus, memory, and problem solving. That's why athletes mutter things like, "Stay steady," or "You got this," mid-performance. They're not losing it, they're manually overriding their brain's tendency to panic like a cat in a bathtub. Even better, talking to yourself activates multiple brain regions at once: language processing, auditory feedback, and executive control. So instead of just thinking, you're essentially running a full team meeting inside your skull. And yes, sometimes that meeting includes arguing with yourself like two coworkers who don't get along. That's still productive. So the next time someone catches you saying, "Okay, where did I put my keys?" out loud, just remember, you're not weird. You're hosting a high-level strategy session. Meanwhile, everyone else is just silently panicking. Number 5. Getting bored easily. Imagine sitting in a room with nothing happening. No phone, no TV, no music, just you and your thoughts. For most people, that's uncomfortable. For some, it's unbearable. And oddly enough, that restlessness might be a sign your brain is running on premium fuel. Highly intelligent minds tend to crave stimulation, not just entertainment, actual mental engagement. When there's nothing to chew on, your brain basically goes, "Cool, I'll make my own content," which is why boredom often turns into daydreaming, overthinking, or randomly questioning your entire life at 2 p.m. This is linked to something called baseline dopamine levels. If your brain is used to high levels of cognitive stimulation, low stimulation environments feel like someone downgraded reality to 144p. That's why people who get bored easily are often the same ones who spiral into deep thoughts, creative ideas, or oddly specific Google searches like, "Can octopuses get bored too?" But here's the catch. Boredom isn't the problem, it's what you do with it. A bored, intelligent brain can either invent something or procrastinate in increasingly creative ways. Your mind would rather overcomplicate existence than sit quietly like a well-behaved houseplant. Number 4. Overthinking everything. You ever replay a conversation from 3 days ago and suddenly decide your entire personality is wrong? Yeah, that's not just anxiety, that's your brain going into ultra-analysis mode, like it's trying to win a Nobel Prize in hindsight. Overthinking gets a bad reputation, mostly because it feels like mental torture, but underneath all that spiraling is a brain that's constantly scanning for patterns, possibilities, and alternate outcomes. It's like your mind refuses to accept the first answer, it wants all the answers, including the ones no one asked for. This kind of thinking is tied to higher activity in the prefrontal cortex, the part of your brain responsible for decision-making, planning, and, unfortunately, ruining your peace at 1 a.m. While most people move on after a situation, your brain goes, "Wait, but what if we analyze it from 17 different emotional angles?" Suddenly, you're not just remembering what you said, you're evaluating tone, facial expressions, subtext, and whether blinking twice made you look suspicious. The upside? You're incredibly good at anticipating outcomes, solving complex problems, and noticing details others miss. The downside? Your brain treats simple situations like a chess match against an invisible opponent. So yeah, overthinking might feel like your brain is working against you, but really, it's just working overtime like an employee that never clocks out and refuses to stop sending emails. Basically, your mind doesn't just think, it overachieves. Number 3. Being messy. Walk into your room. If it looks like a tornado had a personal vendetta against your belongings, congratulations, you might not be lazy. You might just have a brain that prioritizes ideas over aesthetics. There's actually research suggesting that messy environments can boost creative thinking. When everything is perfectly organized, your brain tends to follow predictable patterns. But when things are a little chaotic, your mind is more likely to break rules, make unusual connections, and come up with original ideas. Think of it like this. A clean desk says, "Let's follow the system." A messy desk says, "What system?" Of course, there's a difference between creative chaos and, I haven't seen my floor in weeks, but for many intelligent people, physical organization just isn't as urgent as whatever is happening inside their head. Why fold laundry when you're mentally redesigning the universe? Your brain is basically allocating its energy budget. And instead of spending it on matching socks, it's investing in abstract thinking, problem solving, or imagining scenarios that will never happen but somehow feel important. So while someone else is color-coding their notebooks, you're sitting there surrounded by mild disaster yet somehow connecting ideas like a human supercomputer. Number 2. Questioning everything. Someone tells you a fact, and instead of accepting it like a normal human being, your brain immediately goes, yeah, but why though? Congratulations, you're that person. The one who turns a simple statement into a full-blown investigation. This habit is basically curiosity on steroids. Intelligent minds don't just absorb information, they interrogate it. They want to know how things work, why they work, and what would happen if they didn't. It's like your brain refuses to accept reality at face value. It wants the behind-the-scenes footage, which is just a fancy way of saying your brain doesn't trust things easily. While others are nodding along, you're mentally fact-checking, connecting dots, and occasionally dismantling entire arguments in your head like a quiet intellectual assassin. Of course, this can make life interesting. You can't just watch a movie, you're analyzing plot holes. You can't hear advice, you're evaluating the logic behind it. You can't even enjoy a random thought without your brain asking for supporting evidence. But this is also how innovation happens. Every major discovery started with someone refusing to accept that's just how it is. So yeah, questioning everything might make you seem skeptical, or even annoying sometimes, but it also means your brain is actively searching for truth instead of settling for convenience. Number 1. Late night thinking. It's 2:37 a.m., the world is quiet, everyone else is asleep, and your brain? Fully operational, not just operational thriving. For some reason, the moment you're supposed to sleep is when your mind decides to host its most intense, philosophical, and slightly unhinged discussions. You start thinking about your life, your future, random memories from 2009, and somehow end up questioning the entire structure of existence. This isn't just bad sleep habits, it's your brain finally getting uninterrupted processing time. During the day, your attention is constantly hijacked by notifications, conversations, responsibilities, but at night, silence. And your brain goes, perfect, time to overanalyze literally everything. There's also a biological angle. Some people naturally have a later circadian rhythm, meaning their brain is more alert and creative at night. Combine that with high cognitive activity, and you've got yourself a midnight thinker. That's why some of your best ideas, realizations, or why did I just think of that, moments happen when you're supposed to be unconscious. Of course, the downside is you're sacrificing sleep to mentally time travel through every decision you've ever made. So while the rest of the world is recharging, you're lying there, staring at the ceiling, having a deep conversation with yourself about life, the universe, and that one embarrassing thing you did years ago. Basically, your body wants rest, but your brain scheduled a conference. That's all for today. I'll be making similar videos in the future. Subscribe to see them.